Welcome back to Mayo Clinic Radio. I'm Dr. Tom Shives.
And I'm Tracy McCrae.
For a lot of us, being at work means sitting in our chair, using our computers to get our work done. It's sort of like you, right?
That's true.
Well, here's the bad news. Research has shown that being sedentary, which includes too much sitting, poses a number of health risks, including obesity and heart disease. A new study at the Mayo Clinic, though, offers one solution to this problem. Mayo researchers found that standing burns 0.15 calories per minute more than sitting. Not a big deal, but over time.
And it could add up.
It could.
While that number may not seem worth the effort or the bother, scientists insist that it adds up. For example, if you typically sit for 6 hours a day and trade that out for standing time, that's an extra 54 calories burned each day.
Well, that's over a year. That's a lot.
Over time,
Tell us more.
Those missing calories could lead to a 5-pound weight loss each year. And if the problem is you end up gaining 10 pounds a year, just do the math. Don't make me do any more math.
Exactly. It's like just a little bit of exercise every day makes a huge difference.
Here to discuss is the lead author of the study, Dr. Francisco Lopez-Jimenez, Division Chair of Preventive Cardiology at Mayo Clinic, and also Research Director of the Dan Abraham Healthy Living Center. Welcome back to the program, Dr. Lopez-Jimenez.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Dr. Lopez-Jimenez, good to have you. You wear a lot of hats, sounds like. But what we want to talk about today is sitting versus standing. And there is some pretty good evidence that standing at your desk instead of sitting does have some real health benefits.
Yes, well, one of the potential benefits is related to the caloric expenditure, as you mentioned. But we believe that the benefit might actually go beyond that, might also relate to the fact that there are more muscles activated, and therefore there may be some benefits to the cardiovascular system.
To the cardiovascular system?
Yeah.
Just by standing?
Yeah, well, what we know is bad for health is sitting for too long. What is still controversial is whether or not just standing will be good enough to avoid the consequences of sitting. Now, this research essentially shows that there is some extra caloric expenditure during standing, which means that is kind of half of what you do when you are walking. And if we believe that walking is good, then standing by itself might be certainly better than sitting. The secondary benefit with standing is that when you stand up, it is much easier to do spontaneous activities. So it's not that you just stand. So it's easier just to move from your office to the trash can and to the next door's office, moving around the office. So those experiments in our study were done just standing. So was the simplest thing, but the benefit might actually go beyond that because you move more.
You know what? Now that you say that, so I put this show together at my house in my office, and when I am standing, I never thought about that. But when I am standing, I've got like a balance ball and different things like that. When I'm standing, I'm more likely to go over and do some of those exercise than when I'm sitting and editing the program. He must be right.
I think he is. And, my wife got me one of those fancy watches, I won't tell what the kind of watch it is.
That you're trying to figure out how to use?
Well, no, and I didn't think that I would really needed one.
Right.
But now I wouldn't give it up. And every once in a while, if I'm sitting at my desk, it will buzz on my wrist and it says, stand up.
Get up and move.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I guess there must be something to it.
How much time does the average American spend sitting each day?
About 7 to 8 hours a day.
Oh my gosh.
And that's about 6 to 7 hours or 8
much.
hours too much, huh? So you have a standing desk?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So do you ever sit down or not much for lunch?
I do. I will say, I try to sit it will be probably about 3 hours a day. Yeah, but I'm standing most of the day at work. It's not a standing desk. It's one of those monitor holders.
Oh, sure.
And the keyboard is the thing that goes up and down.
So you can be sitting or standing.
Yeah, yeah.
Is there some pretty good research to suggest that this is actually a good thing from a health standpoint?
There is a lot of research showing that when you are standing, And especially when you break up the time sitting, whether it is just standing or moving around just a little bit, the metabolism of the sugar actually improves, and you don't have to spend too much time based on those studies. As long as you break up those sitting time, every half an hour, you stand up and just move a little bit. That improves the metabolism of the sugar and cholesterol and other things.
What are some of the other things that your research on standing desks or not sitting showed you?
Well, we just completed a very interesting experiment trying to see if your attention span, your typing speed, your ability to think and solve problems will change when you are standing. People say, well, when I'm standing, I cannot concentrate. We tested this thing, and it turns out that the concentration, typing speed, and your ability to solve problems doesn't change at all. And if anything, might actually improve a little bit. So those skills are not affected, which is one of the main concerns by supervisors and people will say, well, will people just start making mistakes and typing slower or something? It takes about a few minutes to get used to that.
Don't your legs get tired?
Well, that's a very good point, and I think it's a valid concern. Whether standing for too long might affect your veins and may cause
increased incidence of varicose veins or
it's
blood clots, or trying to find something wrong with having to stand up.
But I think that's a very important issue, and I think that's why I don't believe that the solution is just standing, is not sitting, which includes standing and moving. You don't develop blood clots when you move around.
Sure.
But standing alone, in some people, might be difficult. You might get lightheaded. Some people actually faint if you stand still for 20 minutes, right?
All right, so maybe you got to sort of move around a little bit and support stockings, and we'll see. But I think it sounds great.
Do you have any other recommendations for people that might be listening about sitting versus standing?
Well, I think it's important to mention that the solution is not necessarily going out there and buying an expensive standing desk. There are many ways to stand at work. You can get an earpiece that you can dictate instead of using the telephone, or you can just put a box in front of you and put the laptop on top of the box. I mean, as simple as that. You can use the laptop on top of a box, and that's your, homemade standing desk.
All right. Well, we've been talking about the health benefits of standing workstations as opposed to sitting at your computer with the Division Chair of Preventive Cardiology and the Research Director of the Dan Abraham Healthy Living Center at Mayo Clinic, Dr. Francisco Lopez-Jimenez. Thanks so much for being with us.